You've seen someone like this. A man who walks into a room with exaggerated confidence, who speaks as if he holds all the answers, who simplifies the world into bold slogans and easy enemies. He makes headlines. He climbs ranks. He is listened to, followed, obeyed, and yet, when you look closer, truly look, you realize something disturbing. He doesn't actually understand what he's doing. His ideas are shallow. His thinking is impulsive. His leadership is a performance. And still he rises. Maybe he's your CEO, your political representative, your boss. Maybe he's the leader of a country, or a movement, or a corporation. Someone who mistakes arrogance for strength and volume for wisdom. Someone who seems to succeed not in spite of his ignorance, but because of it. And maybe, just maybe, a part of you has wondered, how is this possible? How do the most foolish, the most incompetent, the most unprepared individuals keep ending up in positions of power? Shouldn't intelligence rise? Shouldn't wisdom win? Centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli saw this same pattern. In a world of kings and deceivers, of empires and fragile republics, he uncovered a truth that still haunts us. Power does not reward virtue. It rewards perception. Power is not about who is right. It's about who appears useful. And when you begin to see the world through this lens, something inside you shifts. You realize that the problem is not just the leaders themselves. It's the system that lifts them, the crowd that cheers, the story we believe. This video is not just a critique. It is a confrontation. And if you're still watching, it's because a part of you recognizes this truth. You've seen it out there, perhaps, at times, even in yourself. The rise of the foolish is not an accident. It is a pattern, and Machiavelli knew exactly why it happens. But the truth must be told. This problem isn't just annoying, it's harmful. When foolish people gain power, decisions affecting thousands or millions of lives are made by those who shouldn't be making them. Money and resources are wasted. Smart people get pushed aside. New ideas die. The fair system we think exists falls apart under its own lies. And who suffers most? Not the foolish leaders who make bad decisions. It's the regular people caught under bad leadership. The workers whose jobs become miserable under poor managers. The citizens whose needs are ignored by selfish officials. The communities whose growth is held back by leaders who think being loud means being right. This video isn't just complaining. It's showing you something real. And if you're still watching, it's because something in you recognizes this pattern. Maybe at your job, maybe in your government. Maybe you feel the frustration of seeing the wrong people rise while better ones stay at the bottom. Understanding power doesn't have to make you bitter. But we can only start to understand when we face the truth. The ways foolish people grab power aren't random. They follow patterns. They can be predicted. And most importantly, they were understood centuries ago by a man who saw past the show of power to how it really works backstage. Let's talk about what Machiavelli truly knew. Machiavelli wasn't promoting cruelty, as many think. His genius was seeing how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. In his book, The Prince, he wasn't writing a guide for tyrants. He was describing the uncomfortable truth that good people don't always get power. He saw that looking wise matters more than being wise. That seeming strong beats actually being strong. That acting like a leader works better than truly leading well. This explains our question. Foolish people gain power because they focus on appearing competent instead of actually being competent. They master looking good while others master doing good. You've seen this yourself. The coworker who spends more time impressing the boss than doing real work. The leader who wants loyalty more than good ideas. The boss who punishes honest feedback and rewards praise. These aren't exceptions. This is how power typically works. Machiavelli understood that humans respond more to what they see than what is real. We follow confident people even when they're wrong. We trust those who never admit doubt, even when they should. We promote those who claim to be certain in an uncertain world. Modern research confirms this. Studies show we naturally follow confident voices even when their past decisions were terrible. We mistake confidence for correctness, loudness for knowledge, certainty for ability. In this gap between seeming and being, foolish people find their path to power. They don't need to understand complex problems, they just need to act like they do. They don't need solutions, they need someone to blame. They don't need wisdom, they just need to look wise. Machiavelli realized that power goes not to those with the best ideas, but to those best at playing the game of human perception. And in this game, truly wise people often hurt their chances by being too honest about uncertainty, complexity, and the limits of their knowledge. The very qualities that make good decisions but poor impressions. Now let's talk about the dark side of foolish leadership. The specific tricks that help unqualified people rise to the top. These people aren't just lucky. They use clear strategies that take advantage of human psychology and organizational weaknesses. First, they master the art of false certainty. While capable people admit when things are complex and acknowledge what they don't know, the fool speaks with complete confidence. They offer simple answers to difficult problems. They treat nuance as weakness. They act like hesitation is failure. And in a world hungry for certainty, this act is powerful. Second, they make sure everyone sees their successes. The foolish leader knows that being noticed is more important than being effective. They take credit for good results they didn't create. They distance themselves from failures they caused. They turn every small win into a big show while hiding their many mistakes. They care less about substance and more about appearance. Third, they build networks of loyal followers. Not loyalty earned through good leadership, but loyalty manufactured through favors, threats, and us versus them thinking. They create inner circles of supporters who rise and fall with them. They transform organizations into personal kingdoms. They replace merit-based systems with loyalty tests. And in this environment, questioning their ability becomes an attack on the entire power structure they've built. You've seen this firsthand. The leader surrounded by yes men. The boss who punishes truth tellers. The powerful person who values obedience more than contribution. This isn't incompetence, it's strategy. The foolish leader may not understand the complex systems they manage, but they perfectly understand the human dynamics that keep them in power. They instinctively know what Machiavelli wrote. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because everybody can see you, but few can actually touch you. They focus on being seen rather than being known, on appearance rather than substance. And this shadow version of leadership damages everything it touches. No foolish leader rises on their own. Behind every incompetent boss is a system that helped them get there. These systems aren't random. They have specific weaknesses that foolish people naturally exploit. The first weakness is what researchers call the confidence bias. Organizations consistently value confidence more than accuracy. Studies show we promote people who seem sure of themselves over people who are actually right, people who decide quickly over people who think carefully. This isn't an accident in human systems. It's how we're built. When things are uncertain and complex, we prefer the comfort of a confident leader over the honesty of a careful one. The second weakness is that we struggle to measure true ability. In most jobs, quality is hard to measure and long-term results are difficult to track. Did the company succeed because of the leadership or despite it? Did the policy work because it was smart or because outside factors changed? Without clear measurements, we rely on substitutes, charm, decisiveness, speaking skills that don't actually connect well with real effectiveness. The foolish leader thrives in this measurement gap, claiming credit for good outcomes while avoiding blame for bad ones. The third and perhaps most dangerous weakness is what experts call the tyranny of visible results. Our organizations reward quick, visible achievements over long-term, sustainable progress. The foolish leader is great at creating quick wins that look good but don't last. They announce big initiatives without plans to complete them. They start reorganizations that create activity without improvement. They focus on numbers that can be manipulated rather than goals that matter. And our systems reward them for it. Behind all these weaknesses lies a deeper truth. Many of our organizations aren't actually designed to promote the most capable people. They're designed to promote those who best navigate the organization itself. The skills that advance careers, managing impressions, building alliances, avoiding conflict, often have little to do with the skills that produce excellence. The foolish leader isn't fighting the system. They're perfectly suited for it. Machiavelli understood this structural reality. He saw that organizations don't naturally select for wisdom. They select for power-grabbing skills. And that difference explains everything. There comes a moment when reality can no longer be ignored, when the damage done by foolish leadership becomes too obvious to deny, when organizations fail despite abundant resources, when talented people leave rather than serve incompetent masters, when systems designed to reward merit clearly reward something else entirely. And then, those who have witnessed this pattern must ask themselves, how do I navigate a world where the wrong people hold power? This is the breaking point, the moment when understanding power dynamics becomes not just interesting, but essential. But those who think that changing these systems is simple are mistaken. Machiavelli did not offer easy solutions, and neither can we. What he offered instead was clarity, the ability to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And with that clarity comes strategic wisdom. The first step is to recognize the game being played around you. To understand that in many organizations, the stated values and the rewarded behaviors are entirely different things. To see that what advances careers often has little connection to what creates value. This recognition isn't cynical, it's realistic. And realism is the foundation of effective action. The second step is to make a clear-eyed choice about your own path. You can play the game better than the foolish, use their tactics, but with greater skill and perhaps better intentions. You can create alternative power structures, build teams, organizations, or communities that genuinely reward competence. Or you can work to change existing systems from within, a slower path that requires patience and strategic thinking. But what you cannot do is pretend the game doesn't exist. The third step is to develop what Machiavelli called virtù. Not virtue in the moral sense, but practical wisdom. The ability to act effectively in the real world. This means understanding when to speak and when to remain silent, when to challenge and when to accommodate, when to fight directly and when to build power quietly. It means recognizing that timing matters as much as truth, that allies matter as much as facts. That perception shapes reality, whether we like it or not. This doesn't mean abandoning your principles. It means being strategic about how you advance them. Because the truth is simple but challenging. Wisdom without power remains unheard. Knowledge without influence creates no change. Good ideas without implementation transform nothing. The foolish have power precisely because they understand these dynamics instinctively. The wise can regain power only by understanding them consciously. The time for truth has come, and the decision about how to respond is now in your hands. If you've watched this far, it's because something inside you recognizes the reality of what has been said. Perhaps you've seen this pattern in your workplace. Perhaps you've watched foolish leaders rise in your community or country. Maybe you've even recognized moments when you yourself played this game, choosing the appearance of wisdom over its substance. And there is no shame in that. None. Because all of us, to some degree, have been tempted by the easier path to power that Machiavelli described. We've all seen how being right often matters less than appearing right. How substance loses to style. How depth struggles against simplicity. But the truth is simple and powerful. Systems don't change until people within them change. Organizations don't improve until someone demands better. And power dynamics don't shift until enough people understand how they really work. And that understanding begins when you choose to see clearly. Not when everyone around you sees it, not when the system collapses, but when you personally decide that you will no longer pretend. Machiavelli wrote that the great majority of mankind are satisfied with appearances as though they were realities, and are often more influenced by things that seem than by those that are. The foolish leader thrives on this human tendency. They build their power on our willingness to accept appearance over reality. The question is whether you will continue to participate in this illusion, or whether you will become one of those rare individuals who sees the game, understands its rules, and chooses a different path. Not naively, not idealistically, but strategically and realistically. True power comes when you stop hoping the system will suddenly reward merit and start understanding how to change the system itself. When you realize that competence without influence accomplishes little. When you accept that wisdom whispered goes unheard while foolishness shouted commands attention. And now I want to hear from you. Which part of this video struck you most deeply? Comment below. Be honest. Sometimes putting your thoughts into words is the first step toward clarity. And if this video made you think differently about power, share it with someone who struggles under foolish leadership. Someone who might not understand the dynamics at play. And it doesn't end here. The next video will reveal another critical aspect of power that Machiavelli understood centuries before modern psychology confirmed it. Keep watching. It might challenge you, perhaps, but it will also empower you. And in the end, that's what matters. Real power, real wisdom, real impact.